They told you that silence is weakness, that if you don't speak, you'll be forgotten. But history remembers the quiet ones, the watchers, the thinkers, the tacticians. When noise rules the crowd, silence rules the powerful. Because silence isn't emptiness, it's precision. And those who master it control the flow of every conversation, every negotiation, every war. This is dark mind tactics, and today we uncover the hidden science of silence. Not the silence of fear, but the silence of command. In ancient courts, the most feared men were not the loud generals or the poets. It was the ones who spoke little, who entered the room and changed the air. They were the ones whose silence forced kings to think twice before speaking. Because words can be measured, but silence cannot. Silence leaves others suspended in uncertainty. It makes them reveal themselves because humans cannot stand a void. Modern psychology calls this the silence effect. In experiments, participants faced with long pauses during conversation became anxious and started talking more, revealing personal details just to fill the space. That's the first secret. The longer you can sit comfortably in silence, the more people will give you what you want. Silence isn't passive, it's an active weapon. You don't dominate through volume, you dominate through composure. Mystery is a form of psychological gravity. It pulls attention without asking for it. In the 13th century, a ruler known as the Still Prince sat through debates without a word. Courtiers argued for hours, trying to read his face. When he finally spoke just 2 sentences, his decisions were law. His restraint built pressure, every eye fixed on him, waiting. That's the essence of the unreadable mind. When people cannot predict you, they overestimate you. Their minds project power where there is only composure. Silence isn't absence. It's the stage on which perception performs. So, cultivate mystery deliberately. Speak only when your words change the outcome. Let others fill the silence with their own theories. Become comfortable being misunderstood. That's how you stay untouchable. Behavioral scientists have proven what strategists always knew. Silence controls attention. When you pause before responding, the brain of your listener spikes in anticipation. Their focus sharpens. Their memory imprints your words deeper. The silence between phrases becomes the rhythm of persuasion. That's why impulsive people lose influence. They hand out their thoughts like coins until none are left. The disciplined man guards his words like gold. Every silence he holds adds value to his next sentence. Stillness isn't just quiet, it's alignment between body and mind. When your voice is calm and your movements measured, people sense authority before you even speak. A controlled gesture is stronger than a scream. This is nonverbal dominance, the psychology of presence. When you combine silence with slow, deliberate movement, you trigger a deep instinct, submission to perceived control. Practice waiting 2 full seconds before replying. Keep your hands still when others argue. Maintain steady eye contact without tension. Every act of composure whispers power. Every pause draws others into your orbit. True power doesn't announce itself. It moves quietly, like the tide reshaping the shore without a sound. In every field, from politics to business to war, the most dominant figures understand one rule: never reveal the full extent of your strength. When you are silent, people imagine your limits. When you speak too much, they measure them. The mind craves certainty, and silence denies it. That uncertainty becomes your shield. The samurai called it muga, the void. A warrior who masters the void shows nothing yet sees everything. He lets his enemies speak, act, and expose himself while he waits. Silence becomes a mirror. Your enemies speak to their own reflection, mistaking it for understanding you. And when you finally act, they never see it coming. Speak when your words will cut deeper than your sword. In every strategy, from chess to empire, the one who speaks less controls more. When Napoleon Napoleon met his generals, he often stayed silent for most of the discussion. They argued, they revealed their doubts, they tried to read him. When they finished, Napoleon summarized their ideas in a few calm words and chose the best path. He didn't prove he was the smartest, he made the room prove itself to him. That is the silent strategist's method. You don't dominate by argument, you dominate by absorption. In meetings or negotiations, let others talk until they empty themselves. Silence isn't retreat, it's reconnaissance. The one who listens longest sees the battlefield clearest. When you speak rarely, your words echo longer. Scarcity amplifies value. A leader who speaks daily becomes noise. A leader who speaks rarely commands silence when he does. Stay silent to build anticipation. When you finally speak, your words arrive with weight. Pause before key points. Cut sentences shorter. Let the silence after impact carry meaning deeper. Silence after impact is how messages become memory. Use it deliberately, not to delay, but to define. That is the echo effect. Silence isn't only spoken. In the digital age, silence appears as absence. No reply, no update, no reaction. A delayed message builds tension. An ignored insult shows superiority. Silence online bends perception the same way it does in person. People fill gaps with imagination, and imagination is persuasive. In a world addicted to noise, the one who can remain quiet appears rare, and rarity is power. Remember, every time you choose not to react, you remind the world that you are in control of your attention. Silence also protects. It shields you from manipulation and emotional traps. Arguments and gossip exist to steal your reaction. Reacting means surrendering control. The silent mind observes instead of absorbs. Pause before responding. Every pause reclaims choice. Calm people seem invincible because they respond with intent, not impulse. In psychological warfare, the greatest counterattack is withholding the reaction your opponent wants. Stay unreadable. Your composure frustrates manipulation more than anger ever could. Silence can isolate when used carelessly, but when used deliberately, it dominates. Strategic silence is not lack of communication, it's mastery of timing. Know when to stay silent and why. When you sense bait, stay silent. When rushed for an answer, stay silent. When emotions rise, wait until reason returns. Control is not overpowering, it's anchoring. In diplomacy, silence marked intellect. The impulsive were seen as weak, the patient were feared. In your world, it is the same. Every measured silence teaches others that your attention must be earned. Not all power is verbal. The greatest leaders and negotiators understand the art of the unspoken. Your silence speaks through posture, eyes, and rhythm. A still body communicates control. A slow breath commands patience. To master the unspoken, become aware of your signals. Control your breathing, your tone, your pace, even when you say nothing. The goal is not to appear emotionless, but intentional. When silence and body align, your presence becomes language. In medieval courts, knights trained in stillness. They learned how to move with purpose, because respect was granted to those who didn't rush to prove it. Today, the same rule applies. Quiet composure feels supernatural in a noisy world. Be slow where others rush. Be calm where others panic. Soon, silence becomes your language of power. Silence by itself is neutral. Intention gives it power. Tacticians use silence to shape perception. People believe not what they hear, but what they conclude. When you withhold, others fill the blanks, and they fill them in your favor. Rare words suggest mastery. Quiet observation suggests depth. A thoughtful pause suggests wisdom. The less you reveal, the more people imagine. To convert quiet into influence, practice controlled absence. Don't explain everything you do. Let results speak. Confidence that doesn't need to be loud commands respect. There is a hidden battlefield between speech and response. The pause. That's where control lives. In arguments, the one who breaks silence first usually loses. They reveal insecurity or need. If someone insults you and you stay calm, they lose rhythm. If they provoke you and you pause, they lose balance. If they rush you and you wait, they lose leverage. Silence isn't retreat, it's timing. Every second you hold it, the other mind races to fill the void. Confusion replaces confidence. The one who can hold silence the longest controls the tempo of every exchange. Composure is silence made visible. It's the steady hand in chaos, the slow breath before the strike. When others lose control, your calm becomes a weapon. Panic spreads fast, but calm spreads faster. If you can remain silent under pressure, you infect others with focus. In that moment, leadership shifts. The crowd follows the one who doesn't flinch. In ancient duels, those who drew first often died first. Fear moves faster than strategy. The composed warrior waits, observes, and acts with precision. Train this daily. When provoked, breathe. When rushed, slow down. When surrounded by noise, lower your tone. Each moment of control strengthens your mind. Silence has a shadow. It can heal, but it can also harm. Used to punish, it becomes cruelty. Used to manipulate, it becomes deceit. True mastery isn't about silence alone. It's about intention. Silence for peace is wisdom. Silence for dominance is control. Silence for avoidance is weakness. Use it like a blade, sharp but never reckless. Powerful people don't need to harm. They choose when not to act. The silent warrior was honored not for being quiet, but for choosing silence with purpose. Every pause must serve clarity, not ego. In a world addicted to reaction, silence is rebellion. Most people speak to escape discomfort. They fill the air to hide uncertainty. But those who master quiet find power in stillness. When someone expects you to explain, pause. When they expect you to defend, wait. Each moment you don't react, you teach the world you can't be rushed. This unnerves the impulsive. They'll call you distant, cold, or hard to read. Let them. Mystery attracts curiosity. Curiosity attracts influence. The unknown always holds more gravity than the explained. Speak only when silence would weaken your position. That is how the masters played the game. In medieval courts, emissaries were trained in verbal restraint. A single misplaced word could cost kingdoms. So they learned to speak less, listen more, and watch always. They built influence not by talking, but by allowing others to reveal themselves. People crave validation. Silence gives them the stage to expose their intent. By simply listening, you gather what armies cannot. Truth. Information is power, and silence is its shield. The modern version of this skill is observation. Let people talk long enough and they'll tell you everything. You just have to resist the need to fill the silence. That's how spies, leaders, and tacticians still operate today. Understand this. Silence doesn't mean absence of sound. It's the mastery of presence. You can speak softly and still command attention. You can say little and still move mountains. The mind that controls its voice controls its world. In negotiation, in love, in leadership, the loudest voice is rarely the strongest. It's the calm, steady tone that wins wars. To use silence as strategy, build it into your rhythm. Don't fear pauses. Don't rush to respond. Don't explain what doesn't need defending. Let silence become your punctuation, not your weakness. Every empire has fallen to noise, the chatter of ego, the gossip of fear, the sound of arrogance. But the ones who built those empires, they started in silence. They worked in shadows, planned in quiet, and struck when the world wasn't listening. If you want control, learn to disappear. Withdraw your presence before you are predictable. Reappear when it matters. In the silence between movements, strategy breathes. Even nature teaches this. Storms gather power in silence before they roar. So should you. Power is not in motion, but in restraint. So remember this law. Silence is not emptiness. It's energy waiting for purpose. Each time you hold your tongue, you sharpen your edge. Each moment you listen, you gather weapons unseen. In a world desperate to be heard, become the one who listens and leads. Speak rarely. Move deliberately. Observe everything. Because true dominance begins not with what you say, but with what you don't. When they ask who taught you this, just smile. And let silence answer for you.